Remember a while back, I did a video explaining how Lend-lease, in proud association with the New South Wales Liberals, are destroying the habitat of the last growing koala population in New South Wales. No, you don't remember that. I don't know why I bother with you sometimes. No, it's too late. I don't want to hear your excuses. No, I'm sorry, the only way you can make this up to me is by becoming a member of Patreon, okay? I'm telling you, without your precious money, we can't have people devoting their time looking at the detail of the stuff the mainstream press are willfully ignoring for political gain. And look what happens. Koalas die. That's right. You subscribe to our Patreon or Blinky Bill gets it. I'm not even being facetious when I say that, by the way. If you don't sign up, you want koalas dead. There, I said it. On you, do what you want with that. Shouldn't come as a shock to you, though, that the Liberals are deliberately killing off the last healthy koala population in New South Wales, because as we all learned from their last actions in federal government, that seems to be their main aim. Killing and grilling. Matt Keane, when he was Environment Minister, used to pop his ugly little cone head up on every cuck media outlet, from the Sydney Morning Herald to the ABC to the Sub-Zero of journalism, crikey, who'd all cummed themselves about what an amazing job Baldylocks was doing as Environment Minister. I think purely because he uttered the word women like a CD skipping on one of those discmen on the bus. Stunning and brave. You forgot to mention I could be a business tycoon if I wanted to be! Is the only time Alexandra Smith, state political editor, hits out at Matt Keane when this man isn't simpy enough for the Sydney Morning Herald standards. Meanwhile, in f***ing crikey, home of journalists that can't spell well enough to be hired by Fairfax in the first place, we're trying to give him title of Australian of the Year for his handling of the environment. The only difference between Matt Keane and an African warlord on environmental policy is that the African warlord wears sunglasses. His much celebrated Koala 2050 plan had nothing in it. Might as well have opened it up and it was just a picture of him dressed in a koala suit. It would have honestly been not the least embarrassing portrait he's ever posed for. The Sydney Morning Herald wrote that up as, oh, now that's art. Imagine looking at that and thinking, bold. I mean, it's a type of bold. But to the residents of southwest Sydney, not the disgraceful eunuchs and empresses that circle the court of power like the buzzards they are, the people that actually live in the area, the emperor has clothes, but it would clearly be less embarrassing if he had none. Sorry, Matt's not even Environment Minister anymore. I'm just pissed off because of how much the press class loves this man, because he stands for everything they do, which is, you don't actually have to be a good person if you just think you're a good person. Also, come to my live shows. A lot of Queensland this month, a lot of Melbourne the next, friendlyjordies.com. Get a shirt while you're there. As we all know, rule number one for saving koalas is to get rid of the Liberal government in New South Wales. But first, I want you to look at Lend-lease's PR response to the building public pressure. Look at their video. It has the same corporate music in the background that you get when you were forced to sit in one of those "Thanks for becoming a valued member of the target family. Now, get in the dock."
This project provides a really unique opportunity to really help grow and expand the Campbelltown koala population. Yeah, urban development has its place, but it needs to be done sustainably.
Just on a, dare I say, common sense level, how the fuck could anyone ever convince yourself that building thousands of apartments over what was koala habitat will grow and expand the koala population? It's like saying to the director of this video, replacing Paddington terraces with eucalyptus trees is really going to help expand the population of wine-bloated fuckwits that convince themselves they're creatives because they live near Kofa. Let's look at who Mark Anderson is. Judging by the cowboy hat, that is at least the on-site scientist designed to tick anything Lend-lease does as sustainable, and no, he's the senior development manager. Really is like getting Netanyahu to prosecute the case of Palestine. Surely you get the guy who said no koalas were detected on site during more than 1,700 plus hours of ecological surveys and inspections. Yeah, double positive. I want to see him. I want to see the man that was paid to mill around in a field for more than 1,700 hours plus to say, oh no, I saw something fuzzy. I'm just going to write down that I saw vacuum lint. In refutation to that, how amazing is this? Nine was interviewing two Liberal fat cats, definitely not drinking out of Lend-lease's dish. And look at what happened.
Today, the Minister for Environment wouldn't confirm unequivocally that they were even there.
There may be a koala population who we want to protect if it all checks out.
This video was taken 3 months ago.
It's a real-life Simpsons gag.
After extensive surveying, a reputable team of science enthusiasts determined that we couldn't possibly know if there's koalas here or not.
Oh look, my dog has gotten out. What type of dog is it? Eucalyptian treehound. Has there ever been a more beautiful symbol of what greed will reduce people to? Maybe Australian Ninja Warrior, maybe. But obviously, the project manager Mark Anderson is going to think isn't the right word, regurgitate.
This project will deliver on expanding the population, protecting habitat, and more importantly, getting the balance right between urban development and sustainability.
It's always the same. Anytime you look at any industry that's wiping anything off the planet, they always think, this is a good way of spinning it. We're getting the balance right. The divine scales of New South Wales came along to even this ecosystem out that is dangerously lacking in cement apartments designed for a glut of immigrants that they push for purely so they can sell them those cement apartments. God, that was a close one. Thanks, multinational property developer. And how good is it that came right after him saying,
this project provides a really unique opportunity to really help grow and expand the Campbelltown koala population.
right, you're both balancing the scales fairly and tipping the scales in the favour of koalas. Yep, okay. You're not just saying this because you're paid, are you, Mark? No, that's why I keep glancing to my side like someone's pointing a gun to my head.
So the corridors that are really important to the Campbelltown koala population are through Noorumba Reserve and Menangle Creek.
That's not remotely true. The Chief Scientist report identified 5 corridors that are absolutely vital. So Lend-lease just decided to get the balance right by ignoring 3 of them, and yet they dare say, and this makes me so mad. This honestly, I was lost for words. You know when you see the comic book guy doing,
Hey,
that was me reading their line about, we got local, state and federal government approval. Federal being the previous government, so wow, Susan Lee signed off on it. Ooh, that's a rare lapse in judgment for her. The fact that a company that is essentially Australia's Tyrell Corporation will come out and say, you know what, it's the darndest thing. A Liberal government agreed with a major property developer. 100% down the line. Like they always do. It must be because we follow the rules so well. Definitely has nothing to do with us installing these Liberal governments precisely to make the rules for us to the point. And this is next level. This is how much Lend-lease owns the New South Wales Liberals. The best, most comprehensive and independent report done on this was the Campbelltown Koala Plan of Management of 2018. You want koalas to survive and thrive, you do that. You don't put an apartment block with an indoor pool and unimpressive gym in front of them. Everyone in the government must have known this. There is no way that Matt Kean as Environment Minister hadn't seen this, and yet he let it sit there for years until Lend-lease's project got its approval, and then, we're going to start implementing these recommendations all of a sudden, and we can't. Lend-lease already got approval. Oh well, still optimistic about that doubling koalas by 2050 number. Don't need a plan to have hope. Not enough influence? Remember how according to Lend-lease, only 2 of the corridors are important.
So the corridors that are really important to the Campbelltown koala population are through Noorumba Reserve and Menangle Creek.
Corridors are essentially roads koalas use to get from habitat to habitat, right? According to Lend-lease, koalas are just like you in the car. They follow the roads that are open only, apparently, because if there's one thing we know about koalas, it's they understand road rules. And the only roads Lend-lease are promising to keep open are the ones that go north to south, not east to west, which is like them saying to you, there you go, I built you a highway, mate. How do I turn off to my house? Well, you get a mushroom and take the shortcut jumping Mario Kart over the indoor pool facility that we built. Hey, it's like an Evel Knievel stunt. The Chief Scientist said they need corridors that go north to south as well as east to west. But Lend-lease turns around and says, nah, we're following the Department of Planning's recommendation, so f*** off, Chief Scientist. The department that they own. I've talked to town planners. Any town planner that disagrees with Lend-lease or any other major developer is very quickly fired / isn't even promoted to the Department of Planning to begin with. Talk about a captured institution. They ignored the Chief Scientist's recommendations, wrote their own report, and then the Department of Planning ignored the Chief Scientist's recommendations as well in exactly the same way Lend-lease did. Isn't that an amazing coincidence? And yet Lend-lease dares tell the public, we've got government approval and are following the chief scientist's recommendations. Complete, infuriating lie. This is how they came to that conclusion. You ready for this? They claim they're going to plant more trees. Overall, they also said they weren't going to remove any old vegetation unless it was sick. And then, as reported by people who visited the site, they cut down over 100 mature trees koalas used to hop from one habitat to the next and said, yeah, they were sick. But also what? You're removing all these mature trees and replacing them with saplings that'll be unusable by koalas for, 30 years? Whoa! Just 2 years after they go extinct. I'm sure they would have enjoyed those trees if only those mature trees weren't sick all those years ago. Saul Dean, absolute legend from the Environment Centre at UNSW, has been doing God's work. He's been putting all of this to Lend-lease, as well as the fact that even the corridors Lend-lease are pretending are the ones that are vital and that they're going to expand. Look at the map. Look at it. It's supposed to be over 420 metres wide. That's supposed to be the minimum. Look at it. The green that is light is how wide they should be according to the chief scientist, and the green that is dark is what Lend-lease is making it. You notice how at some points it's like a quarter of how wide it should be? Look at how skinny it is. It's the vegetative equivalent of one of the Olsen twins. Notice how at some points there is no corridor? They're not even building them a highway. They're building them a little Melbourne alleyway. Sometimes they're just putting a fucking coffee stand in the middle of it. Yes, now you have to get a coffee. Wow, this unique blend of natural setting mixed seamlessly with modern comforts is even convenient when it's inconvenient. Make no mistake about it, as Saul Dean put it very succinctly, if you were orchestrating a deliberate war on koalas, this would be the mopping up process to make sure they go extinct. He's got a petition going to at least force this to be debated in Parliament, so sign that. But also what I want from you is, first off, to like and subscribe. That's much more important than the survival of koalas, obviously. But then I need you to send an email to your comms manager at your super fund with all of the facts available at friendlyjordies.com. Ask them, are they investing with Lend-lease? And if so, why? Don't have to bother with Future Super, by the way. They already don't. Australian Ethical is thinking about withdrawing, and some that I think that you can really pressure are like Christian Super. It seems like the Christian thing to do. Australian Super definitely seems like the Australian thing to do. And Active Super seems like the super thing to do. Anyway, sign up to Patreon.
Please share and comment below. Comment.